Hello students, welcome back to my channel. Let us continue learning the structured query language chapter. In today's session, we will be focusing on commit command. We will also see rollback. We have already learned what is the meaning of that compared to the commit is also we are going to compare and learn. And also we will learn about DCL commands, that is your data control language in SQL. All right, so let us start. The very first thing is a commit command. So what is this commit command? A commit command is the transactional command used to save changes invoked by the transaction to the database. Now, what is a transaction means when I'm talking about SQL? Transaction is any query what you have done. Transactional, I'm not talking about here structure of the database. It is not about creating a table. It is not about any structural part of the database, but any transaction, whatever you are doing. For example, you may be inserting a row, you may be deleting a row, you may be changing a certain name or a certain attribute of a particular row in a table. Such things are called as transactional. Okay. So in order to, if you want to do save the changes for such transactional commands, then we will use the commit command. Okay, so the commit command saves all the transaction to the database since the last commit or rollback command. So syntax is commit. So before we get on to the next topic, let's quickly go and see how can we do that in our SQL. Let us see the table once again, person table. Okay, this is my table. Now let me try and change the last content. That is, let me change the address of the person Geeta from 4th main to 10th main. Okay. So the command for that will be, we will be using update command in order to update the content of the data. So as of now, let me try update table name set address is equals to okay, then I will say where. For me, my primary key is person ID. So I will be giving person ID as a reference point here. So person ID is equals to 105. So one row updated. Let us quickly see how does our table look like now. As you can see, the 4th main has been changed to 10th cross. Okay. So now let me use the rollback command. So rollback we have learned previously. The rollback is complete. Let me once again see. As you can see, what has happened when I use the rollback command, it is just like how we use undo command in Word. Okay. So whatever changes I have done, whatever changes I have where I have made it as a 10th cross has been changed back to the 4th main. Now let us see what happens if I use a commit command. Let me do the change once again. Okay. I'm updating the row. Let me see. Okay, yes, now it is updated once again, 10th cross. Now I will use a commit command. So what does a commit does? As we have discussed, commit is going to save all the transactional commands. So commit complete. All right. Let us see the table. Okay, it is same. Now let me try doing rollback. Rollback complete according to the previous rollback, whatever I did. As you can see, as soon as I did the rollback and then when I saw the table, I got the changes removed. So 10th cross was brought back to the 4th main. Now I have used commit. Let us see what happens. Okay. So now even if I'm trying to do the rollback, 10th cross, it has been saved and we are not unable to get back to the previous one. This is just like in a Word document. Suppose you are typing certain things and if you do undo, you can go back to the previous change. But if at all you press save command and then if you try to do undo, it is not going to happen because you have saved that document. Here command works in a similar way. I hope this is clear. Okay, so that is our commit command. Next, we are talking about DCL command, as I mentioned before. This is data control language. So these are used to enforce database security. This is important. Okay, database security is provided by the DCL commands in a multiple user database environment. What do you mean by multiple user database environment? Now, as we have discussed throughout in the previous chapter as well as in this chapter, that database is nothing but a collection of information. It cannot be of a single person. Usually databases are used by an organization. So when I talk about organization, there is going to be many employees, many people who are working, isn't it? So what is going to happen? So multiple people are going to be accessing this particular database. So this could be a manager, this could be a regular employee. So what manager will have access to the database? He will be able to access in a different level, wherein which a regular normal employee will be able to access only the basic data. So such kind of access, such kind of a security is provided by the DCL commands. Okay, so multiple user, when there are more than one users accessing the same database, in such environments, you can provide database security using the DCL commands. So there are two types of DCL commands, that is grant and revoke. So only database administrators, okay, or owners of the database object can provide remove privileges on a database object. Now, what is this privilege? Privilege is nothing but we are going to grant a privilege, certain kind of a privilege. For example, manager will have a different set of privileges. The amount of data what he can. For example, suppose there are two departments, okay, department 1 and department 2. Manager will have access for both the departments. So that is a different level of privilege, privilege 1 if I'm calling, wherein which an employee working in department 1 will have access only for the data of department 1. We cannot give him access to department 2 as it is not relative to him. Also, keeping security in mind, we will not be allowing him to access the contents of department 2. So here we will give a different kind of a privilege where he will have a privilege to access only the content of the department 1. All right. So database admin is now who gives such kind of a privileges that managers can access these contents and employee can access these level of contents is nothing but your database administrator or owners of the database can only provide such different kinds of privileges. All right. So this is your DCL command. Now let us see how exactly this grant and revoke command syntax looks like. So the syntax for grant is, we will use the keyword grant, then we will give a name to the privilege, and then we will use so whatever circling I'm doing, these are the keywords. On, we will give an object name. 2, we will also give a username, whether it is a public, and his role name, okay, with the grant option. So what does this privilege name means? So privilege name here is the access right to the privilege granted to the user. Okay, whether he's been accessed all, whether he's been accessed execute, or whether he's been given privilege name as a select. So this is what 3 kinds of a privilege names you can provide. Okay. Next is your object name. Object name is the name of the database like table, whether you are giving it to a particular table, whether you are giving it to a particular view, or whether you are giving it to the stored processes and sequences. So one of them you will mention in the place of object name. Then comes as a username is the name of the user to whom you want to give access. Okay. For example, that particular user, though many users are accessing the database, which user you want to give a particular grant, you want to grant a particular access. So that username you will mention. And then public is used to grant access rights to all users. In case if it is all users, we will use the keyword public. Roles are set of privileges grouped together. Okay, different roles. Like I told you, if it is a manager, if it is an employee, there will be different roles. What kind of a role they are playing with a grant option, which allows the user to grant access right to the other user. So this is how we will grant. So suppose an employee has left the organization, you do not want him to access, then whatever the access you are given, you want to revoke that, you want to take back. Then how will you do that? The revoke command removes user access rights or privilege to the database objects. The syntax is revoke. So privilege name, previously we have seen, we would have given certain privilege name. That name we will write the object name on what object we have given the privilege from, once again, username, public, and role name. So this is the syntax. If at all you want to revoke or take back the privilege which you have given to a particular person, this kind of a thing happens. Suppose maybe a person has got promoted as a manager, so you want to give a different kind of access to him. So you will revoke the previous one and you will give a new privilege freshly. Or he has quit the organization, so you want to completely revoke. Or maybe that person has got transferred from one department to the other department. Once again, you want to revoke the privilege you have given for this particular department and you will freshly allot him a privilege from a new department. In such scenarios, you can use revoke commands. Okay, so next we will see what is privileges and roles. So privileges define the access rights provided to an user on a database object. So there are two kinds of privileges: system privileges and object privileges. So what is the system privileges? So system privilege, when I say, you will be able to alter the entire structure. Okay, so which are those? Create, alter, and drop database objects. Of course, now these is something where you are able to create a new table, you are able to alter the table. Maybe you want to remove certain columns, you want to delete certain attributes, okay? And drop, deleting entirely a table. Such privileges are called as system privileges, or else we can also give object privileges. What is object privileges? This allows user to execute, select, insert, update. So this is not going to change the structure of the table or a database, but only updates the data. Okay, so delete the data from the database object to which a privilege is applied. So this is a basic level privileges where you are not going to alter the database, only the content of the database, wherein which when it comes to the system privilege, you are going to alter the database itself. So these are the two kinds of privileges. So that's all in today's session, students. Hope these videos are helping you all. Keep learning. Thank you for watching.